Here I am again, Mr. Zamora, and I am going to explain how to solve 9 or Algebra 1S15. Compare linear functions, graphs, and equations. Okay, so we have two functions, function A and function B. In function A, we are given an equation, okay? We have our equation right here. In function B, we don't have an equation, we have a graph, okay? So we're going to compare both graphs. And in this case, there is like a question, which statement is true? The slope of function A, of this function, is greater than the slope of function B. It's greater than the slope of this function. Or we have the slope of function A is less than the slope of function B. I don't know if you remember the previous video that I gave you where I explained how to get the slopes. Alright, I'm going to hit learn with an example to explain with the example that IXL gives you. Okay, we have a graph, we have a function, and there is a formula. There is a formula how to get the slope when you have a graph. Okay, and there is also an equation of how to get the slope when you are given an equation. So when you're given an equation, remember always this number, in this case number 4, this is going to be the slope. You don't have to do any operation, you don't have to do anything. This is the slope. What is the slope in this function? It's 4. What is the y-intercept in this function? It's 2. Okay, it explains it right here. Okay, in this equation it says that the m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. So we can use this to get the slope and the y-intercept when you're given an equation. But when you're given a graph, you have to do operations, okay? And you are going to need this formula. M, which is the slope, equals change in y divided by change in x. Okay, so we analyze this graph, and we're going to use 2 points, any 2 points that you want to use. In this case, they are using this point and this point, but you can use this and this, or this and this, or whatever points you want to use. They're using these two. For example, the change in y, remember, this is y, this axis is y, and this axis is x. So first we need the change in y. So in this point, what is the value of y? The value of y is -3. And in this other point, what is the value of y? The value of y is -5. So what is the difference, or what is the change from -3 to -5, or from -5 to -3? The change is 2. So 2. That's why we have these 2. Now we do the same for the x. In this point, what is the value of x? The value of x is -1, and in this point the value of x is -3. So from -1 to -3 there is a difference of 2. Okay, so there is another 2. We do the operation, 2 divided by 2 equals 1. Okay, so in this graph, the slope is 1, and in this equation, the slope is 4. So which one is greater? Which slope is greater? Function B, right? So the slope of function A is 1, the slope of function B is 4. So the slope of function A is less than the slope of function B. Okay, so we go back to our practice. Okay, we have these two functions. Let me print the screen, and we go here. Okay, we have these two functions. So what is the slope in here? Very easy. The slope Okay, well, let me check if we're being asked about the slope. Yes, we're being asked about the slope. Okay, what is the slope in this function? I know that the slope is 2. Okay, that's easy. But what is the slope in this graph? You can use 2 points, whatever points you want to use. For example, I am going to use, let's say, this point and this point. Okay, so what is remember, change in y divided by change in x. What is the value of y here? The value of y is 3. And what is the value of y in here? The value is 6. So 6 minus 3. And what is the value of x here? 2. What is the value of x here? 3. So 3 minus 2 equals 3 divided by 1. So m equals 3. Okay, so what function has a greater slope? This one has a slope of 3 and this one has a slope of 2, so this one is greater. Okay, so it says the slope of A is greater than the slope of B. No, this is false because this is 2 and this is 3. The slope of function A is less than the slope of function B. Yeah, because 2 is less than 3. Okay, so let's go back to IXL. Whoops. Okay, and we choose the second one. We submit. Okay, and this is what you have to do. Okay, now pay attention in this other example. We have function A, y equals 4x, and function B, we have this graph. Okay, now the question is different. They are not asking about the slope. They are asking you about the y-intercept. This is a little bit different, but it's kind of easy also. Okay, actually it's easier to get the y-intercept from a graph than to get the slope. Okay, remember that we had this equation about the slope and intercept form of a linear function is this, where m equals the slope. So in this case the slope is 4, but we don't need the slope, and b is the y-intercept. Okay, but we don't have any other number here. So what happens when we don't have this other number? Okay, what happens is that the y-intercept equals 0. So in function A, y-intercept equals 0. In function B, y-intercept equals, we need to look for the line. Y-intercept means when the axis of y intercepts the line of our function. So we check our line, and when we see that it crosses, in what point does it cross? Right here, in this point in -1. So the value of the y-intercept in function B is -1. Okay, so we read these statements. The y-intercept of function A is 0, is greater than the y-intercept of function B, -1. Okay, so all negative numbers are less than 0. Okay, so the first statement is true. We check it, and that's it. Okay, see you next time.